feed is live, getting set up. I'm publishing this as a public link so people can hear all our hot takes on Solo.
Well, before we get into the real pod, the heart of the pod, we do have to announce we're updating our privacy policy as a podcast. And so anybody who's watching, go ahead and click that down at the bottom left-hand part of the screen. You're going to see a little privacy policy, accept. And, well, there it is. Perfect. And now you can keep listening.
Yeah,
you're not going to like it if you read our full privacy policy. It is very intimate. So
there's a lot of stuff that you agree to by tuning into this. You're not gonna like it.
Yeah, you are actually. If you clicked it, which I hope you are because you're listening, you're now the property of the Vegas Golden Knights, the hockey team.
Yes, and we're able to use your image, everything about your intellectual property as a part of the Vegas Golden Knights Stanley Cup run.
Which, I guess we should go ahead and talk about it now. We have been acquired by the Vegas Golden Knights from MoviePass. Now that MoviePass is kind of
MoviePass is running out of money.
They're liquidating anything they can.
We're the official podcast of the Vegas Golden Knights, and we talk about movies.
They're going to make it through tomorrow thanks to liquidating us as a podcast.
We've come full circle because the Maloofs are a minority owner of the Vegas Knights. So now I work for the Loofs. They give me a paycheck, the Maloofs. The Magoofs is what we call them in Sacramento.
It's a good thing to call
them. Yeah. You ready to talk Solo?
Yes, I am. Let's do it.
All right, let's get the start of this going. All right. Welcome to the Brave Little Podcast. We're going solo. We're talking solo. I'm here, joined by Skylar Teo out of Dallas, Texas. Skylar, what's up?
Not much. How you doing?
Good. Skylar, good. I have seen Solo twice, and I'm really ready to talk about it. Really ready.
Let's go. Let's dive in. Jump into hyperdrive.
We should say right now we're going to be talking spoilers. One of the reasons why I think it was smart to wait till Monday is that we could talk spoilers because I was thinking, people will have seen it by now. Except I'm looking at the box office numbers kind of coming in, the reports. Turns out nobody saw this movie. Skylar, why did no one see this movie?
Dude, everyone saw Tully, obviously.
Oh, they saw
our podcast. They saw us raving about Tully, and they wouldn't see Tully.
That's a podcast I never released, by the way.
No, are you serious?
Yeah, the audio version. Now it's on Facebook Live. Okay, so we have the Facebook Live recording still public. I should make it private.
You probably should.
If I ever want to drop in the future, anywhere.
I forgot. Yeah, that was a banner night for me.
It was a rough pod. We were all
movie though.
The movie is great. Our pod review on it, not great. But the movie was great. So we're here to talk. We're already joined by Jeff Moraine, who in his profile pic, he's got a photo of the cardboard cutout of the Solo Millennium Falcon cockpit. So I think we know where he lands on this film.
I have some issues with that picture because the cockpit is not that big.
No, it is not. And it's not that
roomy.
If
you were facing that, did you see L7 or excuse me, L3 getting into
L7 weenie?
Yes, she is not an L7 weenie, but when she's getting into the chair, it's just like, man, that's a real. I don't feel like old man Han and old man Chewie were just like getting in those seats so easy, but I guess I need to go watch Force Awakens again.
So here, I'm here to bring you some news on that. Actually, the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon got wider with the reshoots. Ron Howard came in and was like, "Let's open this baby up." Made it wider. Yeah.
So okay, I've seen you tweet quite a bit about the reshoots and what changed between Ron Howard and the original Miller Lord. Where did you get that information? Because I have not seen it out there anywhere.
Yeah. So it's a good question. Anyone that's been listening to this pod knows that we have inside information. We called out so many things in Rogue One that happened. We called out Jin's father being named Galen Erso. We called the Porgs before anyone else was talking about Porgs. We didn't know they were called Porgs, but we described them in great detail as a puffin like. So we have inside information straight out of Pinewood Studios in London. I'm telling you right now, I've got folks on set saying quite a bit has changed. Quite a bit. So I think that there's going to be some big publications, Vanity Fair, Hollywood Reporter. They're going to be coming out and they're going to be detailing a little bit more of what's different. Now, keep in mind the script didn't change. Okay. So Kasdan's, I mean, the story was still going to be basically what we saw, but the way it was executed was pretty different.
Fart jokes.
You know what's interesting is, and we're going to get into this. One of the things I didn't like about the film, its opening sequence, kind of the first act, and that was a lot from Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And so it's going to be really interesting to. I mean, I'm making an argument that the film would have been better off with them instead of Ron Howard, which I still believe. But to be fair to Ron Howard, the stuff I didn't like in the film was mostly from their cut.
Yeah, it's weird.
Anyway, so before we get in, and we're gonna dive in from the opening scene to the very closing scene, spoilers and all. We're gonna talk through what worked for both of us, the things that didn't work, things that really were cringy, and the things that we loved, the highlights. We're gonna go through each of the characters. I'm not gonna necessarily rank them, but we're gonna talk about some of the best characters. I do think the characters in this film are like a huge strength. I think that's been a strength of all the Disney acquisition Star Wars films. I think the characters have been incredible in all of them. We're going to get into that. But before we go into those details, do you stand by your 88 score?
I mean, I could stand by it and like be all self-righteous about it. I'd say it's probably like an 85. Just give me a solid B. I don't think it's a B plus. I think it's a B. But it's like a good B. So maybe an 86.
Okay. So I mentioned that I've seen this film twice. The first time I saw it, I came out pretty jaded. I didn't like this movie. I didn't like this movie when I first watched it. On the second viewing, I actually liked it quite a bit more. Now, I'm not saying I liked it quite a bit, period. I just liked it quite a bit more than the first time. And so when I first came out, the score I was texting to you and Erin and others was a rotten score. That's the sub 60 score. Yeah, I think upon seeing it a second time with my expectations properly calibrated, going and knowing like, okay, this isn't a good movie, but can I just at least enjoy it for what it is? And I did. And
you're wrong though. It's not a bad movie.
Okay. We're going to go into whether or not, and I don't know that I would call it a bad movie. Now that sounds
you
strong.
Just did. And you texted it a lot. And you tweeted it quite a bit. This is a bad
movie. I'm going to stand by it. It's not a good movie. It's not a good movie.
It's a bad movie.
Yeah, it's not a good movie.
Well, tell me, like, what is a bad movie? Like, it's a bad movie?
Not a bad movie, but it's not a good movie.
The movies have come out in 2018, and tell me it's not a good movie. Like,
I think it's a meh film. I ultimately come out meh. This is the thing for me. There are pieces of this film I loved. Like, there were scenes I loved. Like, everything about the sabacc scene I loved. Every little reference, like even in the beginning, in the first act, when you see Han and he's getting away, and in the background on Corellia, they're lifting the huge shield things for Star Destroyers. Like, yeah. I mean, I love that stuff. There was a lot going on that I loved. I loved everything with Enfys Nest, by the way. I loved Enfys Nest's theme song. Or whatever, that's not it at all. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's basically it. But, and I'm getting ahead of myself. There are things that I love, but the sum of the parts didn't work for me. And what I mean by that is it's an incredibly disposable film. And for me, The Last Jedi is much more like my type of Star Wars film. And I realize that these are very different films, and it's hard to compare them. Last Jedi, obviously the fate of the galaxy is at stake, literally, and nothing about the galaxy is at stake in Solo. It's literally a heist film about a dude that's just doing a couple jobs for like kind of a low-level gangster, kind of mid-level gangster, maybe. I mean, this gangster even has a boss, right? So it's like a pretty mid-level guy that just has a super cool yacht ship. And we'll get into Paul Bettany's performance in a minute. I know, the ship is dope. The ship game, the vehicle game in this movie, also good, because even the little speeder that he boosts at the beginning of the film, pretty dope.
I didn't like that speeder, but
you didn't like the speeder?
I got the Lego set too. It just doesn't do anything for me. The shape of it. You got the
Lego set?
No, I did not get the Lego set. I'm saving up all my Lego money for that collector's edition of the Falcon.
The $800 Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the point of why I don't love this movie, and by the way, I give it a 65. It's a 65 out of 100. To give you an idea of where that falls for me, my favorite Star Wars film, there's really three top ones for me, and that's Star Wars 1977, A New Hope, and I give it a 99 out of 100. Then Empire Strikes Back, I give a 98.5, so really just 0.5 down. And the third is The Last Jedi, which I give a 98. So that's kind of like the top tier film for me. Number 4, I put The Force Awakens with a 94 score, so still very high. And then Return of the Jedi at 5 with a 92. Then Rogue One at 6 with an 85, and then Solo at 7 with a 65. Then Revenge of the Sith with a 40, Phantom Menace 35, and Attack of the Clones, which I put 20, but really that's 19 too high. It's a 1. Attack of the Clones is a 1. So, I mean, so to give you an idea of where I put it. So Solo is 7 out of the 10 Star Wars films, not including this Clone Wars film. Not really.
So, like, that's one way to calibrate it, certainly, like, to rate it against these movies that are, like, such a part of the cultural zeitgeist. But where would you rate this in your 2018 movies? Because, like, that's where 65, like, really throws me off. Because, for example, if I'm looking at my movies, I've seen 20 movies this year, and a 65 would rank it somewhere among Pacific Rim 2, like Wrinkle in Time,
oh gosh,
Cloverfield Paradox. Like, it's down. That's where the 60s are for me. Like,
okay, yeah, it's so I guess my scores are my score is Star Wars calibrated, not 2018 film calibrated.
See, and I think that's why you're being unfair. Like,
I would put it around Ready Player One.
This shouldn't be compared to episode 4, 5, and 6. And I know you have a real affection for episode 8. But I mean, the very nature of a movie being about the fate of the whole universe, like episode 8, or not being that at all, give me the movie that doesn't have that same, like, consequence. Give me the smaller story. Like, my top 5 favorite movie of all time is Dredd. And Dredd is the
top 5 all time?
Blueprint. It's top 5 all time for sure for me.
Wow.
And
I didn't realize it that much.
Yeah, right there with, like, Once, Hunt for the Wilder People. Oh, it's so good. And then probably Two Towers. So sorry, man. We'll see. But Dredd is, like, the blueprint for how to do a movie like this. This movie doesn't do it nearly as well as Dredd does, just to be clear.
Okay.
But it's in the vein of Dredd. It's in the vein of the third Star Trek in this recent revitalization. It's episodic.
Beyond? Okay.
It's a Star Wars story. And that's what it's not continuing. Like, I wish it wasn't Solo. I wish it wasn't called Solo. I wish it wasn't about Han Solo. I wish we didn't get the line.
Okay.
Your last name.
We're gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into that.
So what I'm saying is, I wish those were the case, but I'm willing to accept that Han Solo is a character that I've read in a number of novels that aren't great, and he's been written by a number of people, some of them great writers, some of them not great writers. Yes. He's not sacred to me, and I get that he's sacred to you. And I get that. And I think that's why it falls down for you. But for me, this felt like a great Star Wars novel. And I got to enjoy it for 2 hours on screen and really enjoy it. Like, it's up there with the best of the Star Wars novels I've read. And I really liked it. And I liked the characters, the new characters it brought in. I loved the way, like, I mean, because if you just replace Han Solo with any other guy, it's really an interesting look into a lot of the Star Wars universe we've just never seen before.
I think
like,
I agree.
Seeing Battlefield stuff, like, was so cool. So just call that character some dumb Star Wars name, like, Scissor Fist or something stupid, and you have that. He can just be any guy, and then you have him meet another Star Wars creature. Like, he doesn't need to be Chewbacca. Then you have this adventure, and it's great. Like, and I think you love it more. It gets even less money. It makes $60 million instead of $100 million. But it's a better.
I don't know
movie.
that that's true. I don't know that that's true about making less money. It might make more.
Yeah.
I think it might make more. I don't think it makes a lot less. But you're not wrong with what you're saying here. And Han Solo is precious to me. Han Solo is sacred to me. And I think that's so much the problem that I have here is because they're like, let's tell this backstory. Now, I've said a number of times on this pod, I don't want a Han Solo backstory. I love meeting him at the canteen in Mos Eisley and learning about him from there. You kind of learn who he is immediately by the conversation he has with Obi-Wan. You never heard of the Millennium Falcon? So ship them to the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. He's arrogant. He's cocky. He shoots Greedo first, right? Or only, right? Like, he shoots Greedo. You know who he is. By the time he sits down and starts piloting the ship, you know who he is. He's already dissed Luke. He's negotiated and bartered with Obi-Wan. He shot this bounty hunter. You know there's a price on his head. And that's all I need. That's the backstory I need for Han. I don't need a movie backstory. So I didn't want this to begin with. Now, what's interesting then is actually look at Solo here. There is actually no real, this isn't really a backstory for Han Solo. Like, it is, but it's really just a little bit like, oh, he served in the Imperial Army. He came from Corellia. He definitely dug this girl, and And yeah, then he met Chewbacca and did a couple of heists. Like nothing about this really shows us who Han is. He talks about, I want to be a pilot, best in the galaxy. And it's like, awesome, cool. Why? Like, why do you want to be the best in the galaxy? Like,
I mean, we're not going to disagree that the first third of this movie is underbaked. And I think that's a lot of your issue is...
But is Han Solo different? Is he different at the end of the film as at the beginning? Like, no, I don't think he learned why he is.
Because I think that... Actually, you know what? I think he learns a lot of stuff about himself during the heist and during a lot of the things that are happening in that last scene. And if we had had a better established character in the first act, all of that, like, his big moment at the end would have made a lot... Like, his scene with Tobias would have had a lot more gravity if we cared about him, which is why, like, the way they establish him is so messed up. It should have been establishing him with his parents, his dad, like, that they talk about it a little bit. That should have been the establishing. He should have been younger. It should have been like him being taken away from them and sold into like the life he lived. And then like something
but
we talked about.
We get Lady Proxima. Not great.
Like, it's not. I kind of enjoyed the darkness of that scene. The way they filmed it was cool because it was very different than anything we've seen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And like I love a creature, and that was definitely a creature. So I was in for that.
Yeah.
But Lady Proxima herself was disappointing. But dude, there were more creatures in this than the Last Jedi for sure.
That's not true. That's not true. I counted. Not even close. It's not even. Doesn't even have half the number. But to your point about the creatures, right at the beginning of the film, right? So we start with this crawl, right? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
You hated that too, huh? Because they didn't do the real crawl.
No, I liked it better than Rogue One.
Oh, yeah, it was better than Rogue One, but it still wasn't the real Star Wars.
No, if I were to go back, I wish that they would do the normal crawl in all of them. But they've obviously established a precedent here, right? The Star Wars stories are not going to have that. Now, if they're not going to have that, I would much rather have this version than what they did with Rogue One, which was like a weird, like, they just kind of zoomed into the action, kind of like really disorienting. When was the
last time you watched Rogue One, by the way?
2018.
I watched it again recently, and I read the novelization, which it's a really good novelization. If anyone out there hasn't read it and is into novelization,
yeah, it's a great novelization.
Most novelizations of Star Wars books or movies are bad, but this one was written by a good author, and it gives you a chance to like really understand Jin in a way the movie just doesn't do. Because the movie, I mean, it's a movie, so we can't be inside her mind. But Jin is a layered character in the book, which is cool. Anyway,
yes,
rewatched the movie, read the book. Rogue One is so good, and like this does not like this pales in comparison to Rogue One for me. This movie, but that's not a bad thing. Like, this is. I mean, I stand by it being very. Rogue One is interesting because it's kind of episode 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, while it's all characters that we haven't established really, it's a story we're completely established in, and so I wish we could take that formula and combine it with the story of Solo, where we have like this ragtag group of people that we have to introduce, which I guess a big critique with Rogue One is that nobody cared about the characters because they just didn't feel like they took enough time to establish them.
Yeah,
which I disagree with. I like the characters in Rogue One, but it's hard to have things both ways, like to want all the new characters. But
no, give me new characters.
Happy if you
give me new characters. The saga films are for the known characters. Give me new characters, which is why I didn't like that this was about Han.
But that's kind of the bummer of as we look forward to what the saga films are going to be in the future. It's just characters we already know and getting their stories, and it doesn't seem like they're really going to be giving David Lowery a chance to make Saints or Ain't Them Body Saints in space, like which would be incredible. But
I think I'm holding out hope that we can still get there. Like I also joke, I've said this on the pod before, where I joke about these Star Wars stories. Like I want such a small Star Wars story. Like I want the story of the cantina bartender in Mos Eisley, and the story about his, his relation, trying to rebuild his relationship with his estranged daughter. Like I want that Star Wars film. And it sounds crazy, but I want something small like that. So I'm not opposed to having something like Han Solo film where it's just about a heist, really two heists. Okay. Like a failed one and a kind of successful one. And like, I mean,
it just happens to be in the Star Wars universe. Like
it just happens to be in the Star Wars universe. But the problem is
they even like wrangled
Solo.
In, right? And they even wrangled in like a splinter group of the rebellion, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like I thought the way they used that, I'm so glad they didn't go deeper into that. Oh, that would have been
Give me an Enfys Nest movie, by the way. Give me that movie. I'm in.
Oh,
I'm in.
So into that. But like the I think they actually did a really good job on a lot of things that you're not giving them credit for because you haven't just like thought about how much worse it could have been. This could have been like, hey, we need this. We're going to be starting a rebellion. Like we're here on order of Galen. Like I mean,
or Mon Mothma or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we're here because Princess Leia sent us. Like it could have been so much more ham-fisted.
It could have been Princess Leia.
Yeah, it could have been Leia arriving. Dude, it didn't have to be Mini Maya Rudolph. Let's be grateful as Mini Maya Rudolph.
I was gonna say, I was like, it was great to see Paul Thomas Anderson and Maya Rudolph's daughter get a spot in the movie.
PTA. I hope he doesn't see this movie because I don't need him seeing like a young version of his wife. That might throw him off and like make him chase. But I don't think PTA would have that right. But man, it just I appreciate so much for the things that they held themselves back from doing. If that makes any sense, like. They didn't do so many things they could have done. And I know that's stupid, but
it could have been worse. I don't think that's great, though.
I mean, like, it couldn't have been worse. It could have been astronomically worse.
It could have been way worse.
They could have.
We thought it was going to be way worse.
Yeah, they could have, like, honestly had them trying to steal stuff for Jabba. Like they mentioned Jabba, but this could have been like Jabba centric, and they could have like been so much more fan servicey, and they could have had like. I mean, the Darth Maul thing is ridiculous. I love it. But
I hate it. I really, really don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Man. Give me Maul. I need Maul.
I realized I took the pulse of the theater when it happened in both cases that I saw it, and people were into it. They loved it.
Love it, dude. That's like the biggest moment in the movie. Like,
I
wonder if Spanish-speaking audiences
that was not in Phil Lord and Chris Miller's cut, though.
Yeah, I just wonder if Spanish-speaking audiences are like, "Ooh, no, he's bad." I can tell, but that's a Spanish joke.
Okay.
Mal just means bad in Spanish.
Dark bad, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but like, okay, so I'm just gonna say, I appreciate everything that it didn't completely turn into Star Wars schlock, and like they could have. In fact, I would say this was less fan servicey in some ways than Rogue One.
Ooh, I don't know.
Rogue One does a lot of fan service.
Rogue One does, like the Ponda Baba scene where they rump into that's bad.
The Vader scene, like it's awesome, but it is 100% fan service.
Yeah, no, but it works. Like fan service can work. I don't know if
there's nothing wrong with like fan. Like I mean, I'm not saying that fan service is always bad. I am a fan and I enjoy fan service most of the time. Like I saw Darth Maul, I clapped. I didn't clap. Yeah, but I saw Darth Maul. I looked around me. And crapped my pants. I'm excited.
I think the fan service in Solo was probably more restrained, though I feel like there was still a lot of like it was like almost like the same number of fan service moments, but maybe more restrained. Like a lot of it was in the references. Like, oh, why did we have to bring these guys with us on our crew? Why didn't we go get Bosk? Wink, wink. And you're like, oh, Bosk, the bounty hunter from Empire Strikes Back. That's like a popular, like backstory character.
There was some reference to Rogue One in Solo. They had the guy who was one of Chay's. And Scarif. I like the little Scarif throwaway line.
That's another one, right? It's just a quick reference.
Chay's crew excuse me. He's not
talking about Two Tubes?
Yeah.
Two Tubes. Yep. Big fan of Two Tubes, by the way.
Dude, he delivered in Solo and he delivered in Rogue One.
Yeah, Two Tubes is awesome.
Same actor?
So they're brothers. I don't know if the actor's the same. But like, by the way, we know that he goes from Enfys Nest to a much more radicalized cell with Saw Gerrera.
Saw is
radical.
I need a Saw movie. I think a Saw Gerrera radical, like, dude, that's a movie, and that would be fascinating because, like, you make them not.
You didn't watch Clone Wars, though. That's the thing. Saw's story is told in Clone Wars, which is why they're never making that movie.
Here's my problem with Clone Wars. Here's my problem with those
Rebels
cartoons.
Is great. Clone Wars less great.
I'm happy to watch Rebels if I can figure out a way to stream it. My issue with them after I finish Bosch. My issue with them is the animation style is unbearable to me. I hate the style.
The Wookiees are the worst.
Why did they choose to make them look like that? Like,
okay.
It looks terrible.
I want to go through the events of this movie, and I know we're on the finer points of Clone Wars detailed animation, but let's go through this opening sequence. Okay. What was awesome to me?
We're really going sequence by sequence.
I really am. Yes. Now we'll go quickly here. We're already 25 minutes in, but we start off in Corellia. He's jumping up this speeder that I think is pretty dope. You hate. He goes. We we see him run in to go to Lady Proxima. He runs into Kira, so we get introduced to Kira. Immediately makes it clear that these two are in love. I like how they just jumped right into it. I did, and to back up a little further, I did love the crawl kind of explaining things and stuff. It's amazing that Lady Proxima gets like such a big shout out in the crawl, and she's in it for 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they go in, and then he runs into Moloch, which I liked this because Moloch is speaking another language. And I'm like, oh, subtitled. Awesome. This is Star Wars. Like he's communicating with this subtitled creature, which is cool. They go into Lady Proxima, and then this is when I became concerned. Is because the Lady Proxima is a water centipede that comes out and is like, hello, Han Solo, where's my hyperfuel? And it's just like, it was just like it sounded like Mary Poppins was drowning. Like it was such a bad, like this lady English accent. And she's just like, come on, Kira, remember where we saved you out of? And I was just like, it sounded like a character from the Labyrinth. Like,
it was voiced by Edna Mode from Incredibles, so I think she was doing her audition for Incredibles too. So there's some cutscenes that I don't know if you've been privy to, but some of our friends have sent over where she's introducing Han to like, now you wear a vest. Do you like this vest? Don't wear a cape. And she keeps yelling at
But come on, were you concerned with Proxima? She comes out of the water and starts talking, and I'm like, oh my gosh, get me out of this scene. This is bad.
I'm a creature lover, and so there were more creatures with lines in this movie than there were in Last Jedi for sure. And so I was so on board with creatures with lines. Look, I don't need humans.
Okay. Well, so Han gets out of there, tries to get out of there, gets separated from Kira. We can talk about the chase and the Krillian hounds and Moloch's little ship, whatever. It goes through. Like I said before, I love the detail of like the different shield generators for the Star Destroyers in the background getting lifted up on these cranes. Like kind of cool.
I can watch that scene over and over, trying to find everything that's going on. I love that stuff
on Corellia.
I love Star Wars construction scenes.
I do too. Now, I do have one issue with Corellia being positioned as this just like, this crappy planet for, scrum rats to get out of. And I'm like, what planet in Star Wars now is not like that outside of Coruscant? It's like Tatooine is, Tatooine. Wow. Tatooine.
Tatooine. Dude, Naboo. Naboo's dope.
So we got but it's like Tatooine no one wants to go back. Jakku, it's like, everyone wants to go back to Jakku. Who wants to go to that, that dive, that junk hole, and then it's like Corellia, scrum rats. It's like, where are the nice planets?
Okay. So we have Naboo.
Okay, I would argue Naboo's on the other end of that. Naboo's insufferable because of how hoity-toity those people are.
But people from Naboo are like super proud. How about the Flying Castle? How's Flying Castle planet?
The Bespin?
Is that where we go in Force Awakens when we meet?
Oh, Force Awakens. You're talking about
we meet our favorite character. What? Maz Kanata's castle or Flying Castle? Yeah. What planet is she on?
Castle.
Yeah.
That's not a flying castle. Very, very much grounded.
I think I saw it fly. It got destroyed.
Anyway, so he gets off of Corellia.
Where is that planet? Because why were they able to see so clearly in the sky Coruscant getting destroyed? Like, that better all be established. Because
Coruscant getting destroyed?
Coruscant, excuse me. The New Order's version of Coruscant. Wherever the capital went.
Oh, the The New Republic.
The New Republic's capital. The Knights
Which
of
is
the
not
New
Coruscant.
Republic. No, it's another planet that looks just like Coruscant, though.
It is, right.
And it's gone.
Destroyed. People should have got off that planet. Much like people need to get off Corellia and Jakku and Tatooine. But anyway, my point is, well, actually I already said my point. Moving forward, this is where it gets cringy again. Kira and Solo get separated. Then Solo decides he wants to be a pilot. Best in the galaxy. For reasons we still don't know. Because wasn't that kind of Luke's thing too? He just wanted to get off of that planet on Tatooine and go be a pilot, And so he goes up and he signs up to be in the Imperial Navy to be a pilot. And he gets asked what his last name is. Who are his people? And he has
what?
People.
We gotta like move past this happening in this movie because I know it's how much of your like
this is unforgivable. The delivery of the line is unforgivable. The inclusion in the movie is unforgivable, and it's just like, Oh, you don't have people. Well, okay, Solo. Your name is Han Solo. And Han's just going to be like, okay, cool. I'm going to go for the rest of my life using a last name that some Imperial douchebag gave me. Like, come on. Like, come on. Come on.
How did it never come up in the original trilogy or at any point that Han was like a full-on Imperial for like 3 years?
How about when he kisses Leia and is just like, hey, I need to be honest with you. Like, my name is Han Jefferson. Like, it's not Solo. Some random dude gave me that name. Like, come on.
Dude, I bet there's like canonized Star Wars writing out there where Han's parents are mentioned and their last name is Solo.
Absolutely. I mean, like, there's got to be, right? I mean, there's got to be.
This will be erased.
Maybe not canonized. Maybe not canonized.
This is not canon. This is not canon.
By the way, they gave birth to Ben, and they were like, should we give him the same last name that the Imperial guy gave you, or should we give him your real last name? Like, no, let's give him the last name of the Imperial
guy. Look at Tom Cruise, though. Tom Cruise's kids have Cruise as their last name, even though he's not really a Cruise. So
yeah, his name is Tom Cruise Mathaper the Fourth, I believe.
Yes, because one day he went in to sign up to join the U.S. Marines before he became an actor.
He's like, I want to go cruising. He's like, all right.
They said, what's your last name? He goes, what's your first name? He goes, Tom. Last name? He's like, I don't got time for this. I gotta cruise.
I gotta cruise out of here. It's like, all right, I got you. Last name Cruise. Anyway,
like, well, no, actually, it's Mathaper. That's just my middle name.
We'll get past this.
Here nor there.
We'll fast forward. Clearly, he didn't make it in the Navy. Apparently, there was a scene that was cut from the film that actually had Jonathan Kasdan, the writer, has his cameo in the scene, and he was pissed that it got cut because he's out of the movie, which is great, by the way. Where it actually shows like him having a mind of his own in the Navy, and he gets booted. He goes into infantry, and we don't get to see that scene. We'll see it on the Blu-ray. I'm sure.
Do you want to see that scene?
Jonathan Kasdan swears that it's a great scene.
See, I honestly think the less we see of all this, like,
I agree
because I don't need to know how Han became Han. You're right. Sure. I really love the way we met Han, and so I don't need all the. Oh, interesting. Yeah. This is how he got his last name like that. First off, that's the worst. That is the worst moment in the movie. It could spoil a movie for some people. I get that. For me, I'm able to do a little mental gymnastics and forget about it and move on.org.
So you forgot about it. And then what did you do when you got to the point where Han starts speaking Wookiee to Chewbacca?
Skylar. Why you gotta do that, man? Why you gotta
Skylar. It's so bad. It's really
you
bad.
Said you loved Alden's performance.
So I did. And we'll get to characters here, by the way. One of the highlights for me absolutely was Alden. The dude was Han Solo. He did it. I'm so grateful that he got the part instead of Taron Egerton or, heaven forbid, Dave Franco, who auditioned multiple times for this role. Imagine him in this. And I like Dave. Look, I'm a big fan of the Franco brothers. I mean, pre the Me Too stuff, but no, they're not. They're no good. But dude, Alden was the right pick. I dug it. I dug his performance. He speaks Wookiee about as good as I do.
You're better. You're better at Wookiee. My mom spitting out her mouthwashes does a better Chewbacca than Alden does.
It was so bad. It's like, Alden, you've got mud all around you. You have multiple materials to do the gargling and actually make it sound good. Dude, it was bad. And you know what? The thing was, it wasn't even that it was a bad Wookiee sound and pronunciation, but that this was an important scene. Like, this was an important scene that really took me out of it.
How did the writers not come up with a better way for them to get bonded? I'm glad they didn't do the life debt thing. I think that would have been. I'm glad they didn't do the life debt thing, which has been canon in the past.
Yes, I agree. The life debt thing that is problematic. But yes. Now, how much better is this scene if Han just says, "Hey, I understand you. I understand a little bit of Wookiee. I get it." And then they start talking, and he's just like, does the thing that Han does, where he provides context to what Chewie's saying by responding to him in a certain way that provides context, rather than trying to gurgle.
I honestly would have preferred if he did some sort of biting Chewbacca's ear to show some sort of dominance, even though he's way smaller, and Chewbacca being
like some sort of alpha.
Yeah, to prove that he's really the alpha, and
yeah.
I think something. I don't know. There's a better way to write it. If you give me a month, I could. The better way to do this.
So we get past that, okay? And to me, the dynamic of Chewbacca and Han Solo is another one of the highlights of the film, and it really stood out, especially in the second go around. Joonas Suotamo, the guy who now is in the suit instead of Peter Mayhew, does an excellent job. He has the mannerisms down. He knows how to walk like him. He's really, really great.
Big could use it. Yeah, agreed. He was great, and he's so Swedish.
This gets into he's Finnish, but this gets into
so Swedish though.
He really does look Swedish, but he's very Finnish. Played basketball at Penn State. So, yeah, he had to. Never mind. I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there. So, here's another kind of like false start for me where I got excited and then let down again by the movie. Is that we get Han Solo trying to talk his way into getting on this crew. We meet Tobias Beckett, we meet Val. Big fan of Val, by the way. Another one of the lowlights for me is Val, incredibly underutilized. I hope we get a Val backstory novel or something.
See, I wish they would have done a better job of giving weight to her death.
Yeah,
because I think it was interesting. Like, it's not a bad character to bring in and then kill because you like her so much.
Yeah,
which I think is actually cool. Like, I like the idea of having a character killed off that you like, because then
it's Rogue One.
Adds weight to the whole movie.
Yeah,
but the fact that, like, I get why they have the reaction that Beckett has. Which, by the way, Tobias is a terrible name for Beckett. Like,
Tobias,
it's Star Wars. You have like the stupidest names on earth, and you have
the Beckett part or the Tobias part.
The Tobias part. Tobias is
agreed. Every time they referred to him as Beckett, I was like, good. And then when someone would say Tobias, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So, I'd prefer FN27 or whatever.
FN2187. So my point here is we meet this crew. We have these interactions. This is when I start to like the movie, because everything before it, I'm at this point, I'm like, oh, I still got the bad taste of Lady Proxima in my mouth, and I'm trying to get it out. And then the Chewbacca's talk, the Wookiee speak is in there as well. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to hate this movie because I'm really not liking it. But then I meet this crew, and then I meet Rio Duran, who is voiced by Jon Favreau of Pod Save America. And then we get the scene, this kind of slower scene at the campfire, and they start talking about motivations and things. And I start to really fall for this crew. And the next day, we get them running the heist on this kind of cool upside down train, or both sides straight. I mean, it's kind of cool.
Interesting.
And at this point, I'm like, you know what? I'm down with this crew. They actually made me fall in love with some people. Let's go do this. Let's get some hypercells, hyperfuel. I'm in. I like Val. I like Beckett. I like Rio Duran. Chewbacca and Han are together. Like, all right, the movie is finally starting. Let's do this. And then Val dies. And Rio Duran dies right after getting to know them and actually being interesting. And I'm like, oh, okay, so let's take a few steps back again. And it bummed me out, man. It bummed me out. Those were good characters.
Yeah, I mean, they were good characters, and I really like having a creature character in a crew. Like, that was awesome. But then, like I said, I mean, I get the writing. I just feel like they didn't utilize the deaths very well.
Yeah.
But
no, they not at all. So Enfys Nest comes in, the song, which, can we say the score overall was bad, except Enfys Nest's theme?
I wouldn't say it was bad. It just wasn't good. It was forgettable.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's different. I think I wasn't like
that's basically how I feel about this movie. It's not bad, but it's not good.
See, and I disagree. It was good, but
okay. And so an Enfys Nest comes in.
This performance from Lando was bad.
What?
You can't tell me a movie with this performance from Lando was bad.
Okay, we're getting to Lando. We're almost there. We actually have a couple performances to talk about before Lando, because we see Enfys Nest, which I'm down with it, with the helmet and the costumes and this whatever kind of spear sword thing that Enfys Nest has. But anyway, they drop the fuel. They get picked up by Dryden Voss. Okay. Paul Bettany. Mm-hmm. Paul Bettany, I'd like him way more as Dryden Voss than I do as Vision. Agree or disagree?
Absolutely agreed. Okay, much more utilized.
He's way better. Like, he was a good villain. And I really, really liked even the stuff when he was like, how are you going to make this up to me? And Tobias is like, get you exactly what you asked for. He's like, no. How? Like, even just like the way he was like performing, I was like I was like, dude, this guy's bad. He's a bad dude. And he's got
cool
these
character too.
lines on his face that he gets bloodshot in his eyes when he gets. I was into it, dude. I thought Dryden was awesome.
I liked him a lot. I thought that was
Paul
awesome.
Bettany brought it for being a replacement character. I mean, that was Michael K. Williams in a CGI role. We don't even know what that looked like. We'll never know because it's. I can tell you where it's not.
That counts as a creature, right?
It's not in The Art of Solo, which is a book I've been going through studiously.
And it's not in the.
And it's not in the official guide, which is the other book that I've been going through studiously.
So we need the unofficial guide.
We need the unofficial. We need the Phil Lord and Chris Miller or whatever guide. Like we need theirs.
Why would they not put that in the art book?
Yeah, well, they don't want you to know what they just want to keep it to what was in the actual film. I know. So anyway, so we get Dryden Voss. We reconnect with Kira. Emilia Clarke, by the way, much better in this than she was in Terminator Genesis, I will say.
I haven't seen it, but
yeah,
I thought she was really good in this. I thought
she was great. She was great.
I think she's a good actor.
And you know what's kind of sad? We're not going to know. We're not going to know what happens to her because this movie only made $86 million domestically.
There will be no sequel.
We will not get a sequel. We're not going to know where Kira goes. So I want to read a couple. We have some comments here before we get too far into this because we're about to get into Lando talk, and I want to feature these. Sean Ferris, Solo. This is on Facebook live feed. So from Sean Ferris, quote: "Solo is the Star Wars film for atheists." Hey, Skylar. Han does nice stuff for no reason. No deep connection to anything. No hope. No even mention of the Force. This is okay, but I think it's lessens the myth. The myth feel for Star Wars.
I disagree. I disagree that Star Wars is supposed to have, like, this is the notion that Star Wars needs Jedi to be interesting, or Star Wars needs the Force. I think that Star Wars is interesting as itself, and that the myth and Jedi and everything is interesting, but it works. Like, I think Rogue One showed that it works without it.
So here's what's interesting. Here is that we couldn't have the myth and Force stuff in this film because we get Han Solo in A New Hope saying, "I've been on one side of the galaxy to the other, kid. I ain't seen anything about a magical Force," or whatever the line is. Like, he hasn't had real life firsthand experience with the Force. And so if they had that in this movie, again, the only thing we have that's related to the Force really whatsoever is just Darth Maul, him turning on the lightsaber. And even then, that's not really a Force move. Well, he calls it. He calls lightsaber over it. He catches it. So that's it. And so if Han Solo had saw the Force, that would have been incongruent with what we see in A New Hope. So we couldn't have the Force. And I do agree with you, Skylar. There is a place for movies in Star Wars without the Force. Now, Sean follows up saying that the Jedi monks in Rogue One are the best part. He's referring to Chirrut Imwe and Baze Malbus, who, by the way, I watched that Star Wars story. I watched that origin story right now. Give me a Chirrut and Baze movie.
$1 billion in China alone.
It would make $1 billion in China alone. You're exactly right. Also from Eric Tedderton, he writes, "Just my humble opinion, but I think they could easily make a second movie to film the story of meeting Jabba and that run as well as the story between Han and Kira." Yes, they could. The problem is they won't.
They want money.
They want money.
M-O-N-E-Y.
They want money. And they're not going to get it. And so anyway, love the interactions from people, by the way. Keep sending in comments. So we get to where I feel like the movie starts to hum, which is interesting because I'm gonna make an argument for why it starts humming and then immediately it defaults again. And I know you're gonna disagree with me, and I need you to push back on this because everything on Kessel, on the planet of Kessel, did not work for me. But let's rewind a little bit. They tell Dryden Voss, "We're gonna get you this stuff. We're gonna get you the unrefined hyperfuel. We're gonna get it on Kessel." And Kira's like, "Okay, I know a smuggler." And we finally get Donald Glover. We get the sabacc scene. And I will say, I loved that we keep hearing about how Han Solo won the Millennium Falcon in a game of sabacc against him. And we think this is going to be that game, and it's not. And I love that.
That was really well done. I like that. That was good.
Everything I love that entire sequence is easily my favorite scene in the film. It's easily my favorite scene in the film. You've got great creatures around the table. You have funny interactions. It's moving quick. The dialogue is great. The music.
I just did some research. There was more creatures in that scene than in The Last Jedi. Tenfold, which is incredible.
Brother, this is not Canto Bight.
I know why you love that scene so much, and it's probably Ron Howard's brother, right?
It's the Clint Howard. Yes, exactly. L3, let go of the mean man's face. And the mean man happens to be Clint Howard. I had a buddy of mine express to me, he also did not like that scene. It said it reminded him of being in like an Adam Sandler film, which
takes you out of it so fast.
It takes you out of it so fast. It's terrible.
And he's just so very Clint Howard. Like
he looks very Clint Howard. By the way,
the max.
That they put makeup on him, like the long hair and stuff. Like, no, that's what Clint Howard looks like today. That's what he looks like.
If anybody's seen him in Arrested Development like 10 years ago, he still looks just like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, why are you putting Clint in this? By the way, Clint made 100K easy on that for that scene.
More 200 for sure. I think you probably got 1% back in, man. Which actually is not good.
Whatever it is, his brother hooked him up. Okay, he's not exactly a working actor, if you will.
He works in Ron Howard's movies. Was he in Rush?
Oh, yeah, somewhere.
He had to be, but I just can't remember. Like,
I think he's on one of the pit crew. I think he's on the pit crew.
He's probably Niki Lauda's pit crew.
I think he was
Niki Lauda.
Niki Lauda. So anyway, we get Lando, which is great. Can we talk about this? I mean, everyone's talking about it in terms of, we need a Lando Star Wars film. And yes, of course, I go see that opening night.
That gets
Childish
made.
Gambino does an incredible job. But you know what? Another thing I was let down by is they did not give him enough to do in this film. It was very underwhelming. He was underwritten, and thankfully that was overcome by the performance of Donald Glover, thank goodness. But they did not write for him very well. His stuff was very inconsequential. He was literally their Uber ride. I mean, that's it. He really doesn't do much more than that.
I loved Lando in this movie, and I get what you're saying. I get that he wasn't the star, and it wasn't his movie, and he was.
I don't need to be the star.
Well, no, I mean, like, he was there. He was on the crew. He didn't get off the ship, yeah, but I also really enjoyed the stuff he was doing when he did it. Like, I would have loved more, but he left me wanting more than anything else. And like, that's why I think everybody wants to see a movie from him, is because they want to see what he could bring to the table if he got more screen time. And I think we'll see it.
Well, so we go through. We get to the Kessel place. We get introduced to L3.
Now you hate it, just so we can clear it up. You hate the Kessel Run because you hate women and minorities, right?
Oh my gosh. No, I love both of those things, by the way. I love minorities. I love majorities. Majorities less. I love women. Big fan. Really, really big fan of them. Married to one, a terrific one. L3 does two things in this movie. She's either talking about something that's agenda driven, or she's joking, being really, really jokey. She serves no other purpose than every single time she talks, it's a joke or it's something about the agenda. And it just became like two note for me. Like K2SO to me is a better droid.
It was not that way.
Yeah, it was a 2-note droid. At least better than a 1-note.
No.
I don't want to disagree with the agenda. I thought it was great, but it was just kind of like, okay, I get it.
Baby, you're wrong though, because it wasn't like that obviously 1 note. Like, I mean, I thought, I get that L3 comes off that way, but I thought her love for Lando and her love for like the universe at large and being able to map things and her love for the Falcon and piloting, I thought that was all a huge part of her character, and that it might seem like she was 1 note because she had like one throwaway line here, one throwaway line there, and then when they're on Kessel, she does the bit of telling the robot to like the robot
save your friends or whatever.
It's like she's not trying to start a revolution.
Yeah,
and it kind of happens, and she celebrates in it because it's hilarious. I thought it was great. I get why that scene and that whole like moment is very divisive, but I loved it. Like the droids marching on the table and stuff. Oh, baby, I loved it. Man, it was good.
I love how you just slowly morphed into the character from Duncan Jones's Mute.
Oh, that's Babe. That's movie number 20 on my list of 20 movies this year. Come on, Babe.
So I didn't like anything on Kessel. Like the second time especially, I felt it because I was like, come on, let's go. Like I want to get to it because the ending of the movie works better for me than that part. This one just felt like it went on for too long. I did love that.
Right, but don't you want that? You don't want the movie to peak in the middle of the movie.
What's that?
You don't want the movie to peak in the
No,
second
I don't want
act,
it to peak.
though.
I want it to be interesting or move along. And it's a little bit like, it just dragged for me. There was just something. I was just ready for L3 to blow up, and so she did. And I know I know you're not gonna like this, but I was like, hallelujah. Like,
yeah, you want that woman to die.
No,
dude, I loved Kessel. Like, I thought it was really interesting to see this. Yeah, because I mean, in the Star Wars universe, we hear a lot about enslaved peoples. The Empire took over and enslaved a lot of different worlds. And so it was really interesting to see that in action and see these people and droids that were in servitude to the Empire. And then to see, Chewbacca interacting with other of his kind that was not in episode 2. Or was it episode 3? What was that battle?
Which one?
When they're on Chewbacca's
it's in episode 3.
Oof, that's a rough scene.
It's a rough scene.
See, I can't believe how much you like episode 3. 1 is so much better than 3.
Oh, no.
Gimme
it's working. It's working.
Yeah.
Everything with Jabba, or not Jabba, excuse me, Jar Jar. There's so much Jar Jar in one that I could never rank that above Revenge of the Sith.
Fuel me with Jar Jar. Give me the Jar Jar. I love that people hate it. I love
it. Okay. So we get off of Kessel. They plug L3's mind into the hyperdrive. That's dope. Down with that. I was down with most of what was going on in there, like trying to get out of the mouth of this black hole thing. I believe they called this the mall as well. I want to say, which from what I understand is Spanish for bad. And
I think actually the hole was called the Bueno, I believe, or the Bien.
And so Tobias Beckett drops a little bit of the hypercell stuff into the fusion drive, and they do this really cool sequence where it goes.
That scene was incredible,
wasn't it?
You know what's amazing is, so there's very little tension in this movie by the fact that we know who's going to live and probably who will die at the very beginning, based on who we know makes it. Like, in fact, I was a little surprised.
Although I don't know, I thought Kira might die, but yeah,
I thought she was going to die. But with that said, I was still sitting on the edge of my seat during that whole sequence. Like, that massive creature is one of the coolest Star Wars creatures we've ever seen, and is worth 1,000 creatures. Yeah. And if you're doing a creature count alone, it's easily the coolest creature we've seen.
No, in the words of Gimli, it still only counts as one.
Take it. You quoted. Oh, you son of a... Okay, that was good. I give it to you only because I love Legolas and Gimli adventures. Pump them into my blood. I love it. But what was I saying?
My heart fluttered a little bit. Just a little bit before that, we see that an Imperial blockade comes in, which is a little questionable. Like, does the Imperial blockade really care about what's going on Kessel?
But that visual, lightning strikes.
I know, and that's why I forgave it. Like, you can really think through, like, is Imperial really going to care about what's going on in this like slave planet of Kessel? No, but they all come in, and dude, this is where my heart skipped.
Them coming in to like just do cleanup.
So from the song Asteroid Field from the Empire Strikes Back soundtrack comes in, and it's the
asteroids, asteroids everywhere. Watch out for that asteroid.
What are you saying? Okay, anyway, so
lyrics of that song,
you know what song I'm talking about. It goes,
look out for the asteroid.
Singing to it. I can't. I'm waiting for you to get done singing. Are you done singing? I don't think you're singing to what I'm singing.
Don Williams wrote lyrics for that song.
No, he did not.
Yeah, you can look it up. Google it.
Okay. Anyway,
asteroids.
My heart skips a beat when it starts going. Wait, are you gonna sing the song? Because I don't think it's to the tune that I was.
Asteroids.
Yeah. Nope. Okay. Okay, guys, round 3. I'm going to try this one more time. Ready?
I'm not going to say anything this time. I'm going to mute my mic.
Anyway, so he's in the Millennium Falcon. and he turns it and he hits the TIE fighter with the side of the Millennium Falcon, and I was like, yeah,
that was sweet.
I'm in. I like that. I'm in, and that it made my heart skip a beat because the music came in, but it worked. It worked putting the music in there, but it didn't work in most other places where it was trying to make me feel. Like when Han Solo takes the co-pilot seat for the first time because Lando's crying over his very repairable droid, but he's back there whining about it. He's whining about his sex droid. And
you should read last shot so we can see
Han takes the co-pilot seat, and it's just like, immediately jumps in just like that, just like the main Star Wars theme, just like, wow, this is Star Wars, like, remember this? And I'm just like, oh, stop. So we make the Kessel Run in give or take 12 parsecs.
No, is parsecs unit of time or is it a unit of distance?
It's time. So
I always heard nerds say that it was a distance.
So they go land on Savareen. Okay. A new planet, by the way. A planet of which we've never seen before. A sand planet.
But there's a beach. So there's water too.
There is a beach. You don't have that in Tatooine or Jakku that we know of. And so they land on the sand planet with a beach. Remember, monoclimates. And they refine the hyperfuel. We get another kind of cringy scene when he's like, hey, we just made the Kessel Run in less than 12 parsecs. And it's just like, okay, Han, we like easy, okay? Like a little on the nose.
I like the Chewbacca follow-up line.
Okay.
I thought that was kind of funny.
I was gonna say the Kessel Run false start I did not like. Because we get this dope scene
necessary.
Where we go through the whole ship and you're like, yes, like kick it. And then it's like, do. And it's like, okay. And then
that was just unnecessary. I agree. Right. There's a moment earlier in the movie that I hadn't talked about. It was the time when Chewbacca told Han his name. Why is it that Chewbacca's name is not Chewbacca? Like, when he says Chewbacca in his native language, it's not Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Like, if I say my name in Russian, it sounds pretty close to Skylar. It's not like,
what is it?
Like, I mean, it's poor writing.
What is it?
When Chewbacca says Chewbacca, he should be saying Chewbacca.
No, how do you say your name in Russian?
Skylar.
Oh, how do you say David?
Boop face.
Okay. I was gonna say, you have a good chance to do a bit here.
I don't feel like
we're coming up on an hour. So we got to wrap this up. But we get a run in with Enfys Nest where we learn a little bit about who she is. We get a little quick little bit with Han Solo where he's like, I got 30 people on that freighter and they're going to come like that, and then it flies away with Lando. Lando, by the way, being a baby a little bit.
I liked Lando in that moment. Dude, that was a good sequence. Him threatening it.
No, it was funny. It worked.
But it played.
We learn who Enfys Nest is, which is a 16-year-old girl that needs a drink, she says. So we get Maya Rudolph and Paul Thomas Anderson's daughter.
Pre-PTA Maya Rudolph.
Yeah, pre-PTA Maya Rudolph. I'm all in on this. She appears to be like 16 years old. Is kind of part of this like hashtag resistance, hashtag resist or rebellion. But I'm kind of all in on it. We also get Warwick Davis. Yes, please. 2 tubes, like we talked about before from Rogue One. I don't know where his brother is, but I'm loving it. And they're all different aliens. To your point about there being a lot of species, while not quite as many as one of my favorite Star Wars films, The Last Jedi, we do get a lot of good aliens, which is awesome. And then we have we get into this whole rigmarole where he goes to Beckett being like, hey, Beckett, let's turn a fast one on Dryden Voss. And Beckett's like, you know what? I'm going to peace out. I'm running. And I did like the line of like, I thought you were against running. He's like, I prefer it to dying. I was like, oh, it's a good line. It's a good line. I didn't mind it. Now, what I did mind was
go on.
The lame. It was a lame rigmarole, like kind of Tobias is the one that turned on you, and it was like, oh, amazing. The guy that told him trust no one, you will never be disappointed, is the one that betrays him. It's just like so on the nose that I feel like Lawrence and Jonathan Kasdan, the script just wasn't doing this film any favors. I didn't enjoy that at all.
I didn't mind it at all.
But
I mean, like I knew it was coming, but I didn't mind it.
I guess it was easy
I thought
for
it
me
was
to forget
interesting
it.
what it did for Han.
Well, I like the character of Beckett. I really dug Beckett. And it just was kind of a dumb thing. But I will say that it was required for it to justify what Han does a little bit later, right at the end of the film.
Right. Well, I mean, that and they knew he was going to do it. So I mean, like the fact that it's easily
They knew he was
predictable
going to do it. Of course, he was predictable
on purpose. Like that's the
It
characters
was
know
predictable in the
do it.
storyline. It was predictable to Han in the actual movie, right? I get it. But it was easy
Right.
for me to forget because I did enjoy the twist that comes next, which is the hyperfuel, the real hypercells, the hyperfuel is actually there. The unrefined coaxium is what it is. Sorry. The now refined coaxium is there. And then it shows the Enfys Nest mask is on that woman that doesn't have a tongue. And then Enfys Nest jumps behind the kind of Dryden Voss's guards and just throws her sword thing and then just like hits the sand and they all jump up. And then Warwick Davis gets up, shoots a missile, which is so cool. Awesome. And then like they all come out, 2 tubes comes out, they all take off the masks. I dug it. And it was especially in that moment that's like, I want a movie with Enfys Nest and her little band of rebels running around the galaxy. Give it to me. Like, I want that movie. I'm totally in on this. Like, Enfys Nest was awesome. She was totally bad A. And I thought that worked. So, dug it.
I would agree on that, yeah.
Now, we get Kira. That pulls another little... There's a lot of twists that happen right at the end. I think it was probably too many. But she does the whole, like, I'm not going to kill Han. I'm going to kill Dryden. She kills Dryden. Han goes down and has his thing with Beckett. And I'm going to break these up into 2 either-ors. Which one works better for you? The scene that you have with Han and Beckett right at the end there, or the scene with Kira and Darth Maul?
I'm not sure. I mean, Kira and Darth Maul was pretty sweet just for like the fan factor of, oh, it's Darth Maul. Oh, yeah.
With cybernetic legs, because he did get cut in half in The Phantom Menace. Just a reminder.
True.
I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me being like, is that Darth Maul or is that one of Darth Maul's kind? Because Darth Maul died in The Phantom Menace, so who is that?
Well, he's definitely aged since the Maul that we saw in episode 1, so he looks different.
Yes.
And his lightsaber is different, which him pulling out the lightsaber was ridiculous.
Yeah. It was a little gratuitous, wasn't it? Like wait, Kira, before you go, don't end transmission. 1 second. I want to show you this cool party trick. I'm going to call my lightsaber over and then turn it on and then just kind of stare menacingly.
Right.
And then he says some line about we're about to get to know each other really well or something weird.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that line very much.
I did not. I did not. Now, if you would have explained to me beforehand that there was a scene with Han where he shoots first, okay, I would have rolled my eyes and thought, oh boy, here we go. But this scene with Tobias, when he comes out and he's like, I'm about to teach you the most important lesson, and then boom, he gets shot. It worked for me. It was good. I dug it. It was good. It was brutal. But I was told that George Lucas loved it, which is weird because George Lucas is the one that's been totally like claiming that Han Solo is more like John Wayne and would never shoot someone first. He'd wait to be shot at, George Lucas is losing his mind. So yes. Fast forward to the ending of the movie. If I'm going to say, I'd argued at the beginning that Han doesn't change from the beginning to the end. That's not totally true. There is one major difference. At the end of the film, he doesn't chase the girl. At the beginning of the film, he does. Right. Mm-hmm. He's going back for her. At this point, she leaves and he's like, nah, we're just going to go take this job. He's not going to join Enfys Nest rebel cell. Him and Chewbacca are going to go. And then I would say the ending feels weirdly disjointed because it's like, you think it's going to end and there's like, oh no, there's one more scene. But the one more scene is a pretty great scene. It's a pretty great scene.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah. And you see Han Solo pull the little trick where he grabs the card out of the sleeve of Lando, and we actually get the Sabacc game where he wins the Millennium Falcon and they take off. And it was great. I thought that was good. So there were scenes there I liked. There were things I didn't like. Overall, it's not a good movie to me. It's not a good Star Wars movie, but it's not a bad one. It's a very meh one, but it is one that I liked on the second viewing, and I suspect I will enjoy it more and find a kind of a place to carve it out of. I just have to consider that this isn't Han Solo. And that's why, like, a movie about Han Solo. Now, I know we're over an hour now, and it's time to go to bed. I want to I want to get one thing that I think we really disagree on here. Is Alden Ehrenreich's performance?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't like it, but I did. Am I right?
No, I mean, I thought it was like a snowball rolling down a mountain. It was gaining momentum as the movie went along, and by the end, I thought he was pretty good. And like I really liked some of his deliveries at the end. But at the beginning of the movie, he really did very little for me. But like, I mean, he gained momentum. It got better and better.
Okay. Well, let's wrap up. Anything else you want to talk about regarding Solo?
No, I think that's pretty well covered. I liked it. So that's the thing is, I think we're grading on two different scales. Like
Maybe.
I'm grading as a movie in 2018. Like I guess let's talk about the box office just a little bit because it's bombing right now.
It's not doing well. Which
is funny that a movie that made $100 million in 4 days is bombing, but it is.
So why is it bombing? Is it because it's a Han Solo backstory, or is it because the troubled production issues, a combination?
No, I think the problem is that we are within 5 months of a Star Wars movie being out.
Oh, you think it's oversaturation?
We're within 2 months of a Star Wars movie being in theaters. This came out way too soon after Last Jedi, especially Last Jedi, which was beloved by many but hated by many as well. And so I think it was just bad timing.
Yeah. So, and Last Jedi was definitely beloved by more than hated by. I think there was obviously overblown reports about Star Wars fanboys being all butthurt about it. Or, sorry, I should stop saying that.
You actually don't have to stop saying that. It's about spanking. It's not anything to do with.
Oh, okay. Butthurt.
Anything
okay.
bad.
I think that they're being butthurt about it. Now that I can use that again. But honestly, like look at the Rotten Tomato scores. Certainly the critic scores. Most people I talk to, I mean, people generally like the film. Now it does some controversial things, and I know that the A plot is problematic in terms of it being a spaceship in space or spaceship kind of slow motion spaceship chase. But everything else in the movie, I think, works spectacularly. I just think that that's the type of film that I'm going to enjoy more than a Han Solo backstory. So that's just my preference, which is why I give it a 65 out of 100. I will say it's better than A Wrinkle in Time.
Did you like it better or less than Ready Player One?
So I had mentioned earlier that I think I put it right next to Ready Player One as kind of in that same range. If I'm tiering the films of 2018, it's in the same tier for me as Ready Player One. I feel probably about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can
feel probably about the same. So
I don't need you to love it. That's okay.
What's that?
So I don't need you to love it. I'm okay with you.
But I liked it more in the second go. I went and saw the Esquire IMAX in downtown Sacramento, and it was a pretty cool experience.
You paid for this movie twice.
Yeah, I didn't use MoviePass because both times were IMAX.
Wow.
So next time we pod, we'll be talking about the Golden State Warriors being up 2-0 probably on the Cleveland Cavaliers for the fourth finals in a row, which is incredible. Really incredible. But
I mean, I almost wanted to be the Rockets so that LeBron had a chance, because I'm so already beaten down by the LeBron's lost as many titles as Jordan won, which is the worst argument.
It's a terrible argument.
Losing a champion, like losing in the title game, is the second best thing you can do as a team.
Yes. Now, to be clear, Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. I think that goes without question. But
I'm not sure it goes without question anymore.
Jordan
never took a team this bad to the finals.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Also, I don't buy that.
If you think any of Jordan's 6 title teams were were worse than this LeBron team,
I think all of them. Were worse.
You're insane.
I honestly do. I think all of them were worse.
Dude, he had Dennis Rodman, Scottie Pippen.
Look, I'm not going to deny. I think
the best player he had is Kevin Love, and he was hurt in Game 7.
I will give this to you. I will give you this. Because he's made it to the finals 8 years in a row, which is an incredible accomplishment. I wish he could win, but it's an incredible accomplishment. That puts him above Bill Russell now for me. It absolutely does. I put him at number 2 now. He's been at 3 this whole time for me. I put him at number 2. But are you kidding me? 2 3-peats. 2 three-peats of winning championships. That is insane. Do you know how impossible that is? Well, clearly impossible because no one's been able to do that. Like 2 three-peats, 6 title wins. LeBron will never do that in his career. Never. He will never do that.
Yeah, but so let's say that's an 8-year period. He won 6 championships, right? Which is incredible.
Yes.
But in year 5 of that, he didn't make the finals.
Yes, that's correct.
LeBron's made the finals in 8 straight seasons. Yeah, he's lost to one of the greatest
teams of all time. 2 three-peats, though. That doesn't. I mean, yeah, okay. I'll give you like a half a point for that, but there's still multiple points on Jordan's 2 three-peats. Like LeBron is incredible. I mean, he's
winning
so good
3
at basketball.
titles and losing 6 more is incredible.
Why can't
especially with the teams he's had?
We should be like in this culture. We want to be quickly crowned the next GOAT. Like it's like Michael Jordan's had the crown for so long. People are ready for the next one. But like we've got to be just grateful that we're experiencing being able to witness the second player of all time. We don't need to hand him the crown.
Are you more impressed with the guy who has like, not to say Michael Jordan isn't a physical specimen because he like,
oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Incredibly physically gifted, no doubt. But the guy who weighs like 40 pounds more of just muscle and is 2 inches taller.
No, it doesn't do it for me.
Cleveland.
He was a killer on the court, man, and it was a way that was incredible to behold, to watch that. Like it was really incredible.
Dude, have you seen the passes that LeBron's had?
He's a better passer. He's a
way better passer.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't argue that. Yeah, he's definitely a better passer.
I think he's a better scorer. He's not a better shooter. I think he's a better scorer.
No.
He's not a better defender.
No.
Jordan's a better defender, no doubt.
And a better scorer.
LeBron's a better
scorer. He's averaged more points per game over the course of his career. I mean, this
different game, different league.
No, see, you can't do it. Oh, no. We can't use stats, and then when they don't work for us, we say different teams, different league.
Do you realize that with all the playoff games that LeBron's played at this point, he's like in his 18th season? Like, he's 33, and he's already played 18 seasons worth of games. It's incredible.
Is he in his 18th? I thought he was in his 15th.
No, if you include like the hundreds and hundreds of games he's played of playoff games now.
Oh,